EQ in Techno using the Logic EQ, which is this one here. Got your range of hertz down the bottom here. You got your bass frequencies down this end. You got your high frequencies this end. Then you've got your mid frequencies. I've got 3 kick bass arrangements here. So if I play this first loop through, it's a bit of a nightmare because it's absolutely thick, muddy mess. And the reason being, you've got 2 sounds here that are clashing with the same frequencies. I'll switch the analyzer on, which is just this little button down here. We'll play these together, and as you can see, they're pretty much fighting for exactly the same frequencies in the frequency spectrum. So in techno, it's always quite a tricky one to get round. I usually do this by ear and playing it on my computer, so I'll play my computer speakers and through the speakers, so I get 2 different sound checkpoints basically. So what I would do with this is why I've got a sidechain here, because these 2 loops are just fighting for exactly the same frequencies. The only thing you can really do is to sidechain them and EQ them. What I would do normally is I would start with decent samples to begin with. Like if we just move along here to, this isn't perfect, but it's just the kick and the bass together. It's a lot cleaner because I haven't picked a rumble kick. I've made my own rumble kick underneath that, which sits alongside it. As you can tell, that sounds a lot cleaner than. So I'm still using the same bass loop. I'm just sidechaining it, the bass through the compressor, and I'm sidechaining that to a long kick, slightly longer kick than this one. And yeah, that just gels better together. So with this one is flogging a dead horse really. The only way, I'll show you how I could tighten it up a bit. Go into my EQ here. I'll start by what I normally do is just drag out and the same on the 75 hertz, just drag that out just to get rid of those really unneeded bass frequency, and I'll do the same on this one. Drag these out and just get rid of those. About 33, drag it out to about 33, and then the 75. I don't know whether you can hear that, depending on what speakers you've got, but or headphones. But if I turn those off, it sounds really muddy. I turn back on, just takes a bit of that low end out. What we're trying to do with the kick is emphasize the about 100 hertz to get it to punch through. So I'll raise this one up a bit, and then I'll bring it in, and then I'm going to mirror that on the, I'm going to do the opposite on the bass EQ. I'm going to mirror that and drop it down. They're sort of roughly in the same place there. So that means the punch from the kick is gonna punch through, and I'm taking that same frequency out on the bass. So I'm just showing you the worst example really, just to see what you can do to overcome these problems. With the kick, I might even take it out a bit more, and then what I'll do is go onto the bass and let's look at that. Is there anything I can take out there? I'll probably take out a little bit of high frequency there, and then what I'll do is add on a compressor, and then I will side chain it to the longer one of the side chains, which is a bit too much, so I'm gonna go to the shorter side chain. And what I mean by that is, if I open that up, you can see that this is the shorter side chain that I've just put in a snippet of the kick there, and on the output I've got no output, so that doesn't obviously play at the same time. See, already that bass is coming sitting better with the kick there. I'll just bump the ratio up and then increase the makeup gain there. Yeah, so that is the only way to really tidy up that quite rough first example. If I move on to the second one, see, that's a bit cleaner, this second example. So if I reintroduce the EQs on each, let's have a look. See, there's a vast improvement there using the same EQ setup from the first example. Drop the 100 Hertz there where the kick punches through, the same settings. If I turn those off, it's a bit more muddy. That's a bit, you can tell it's a bit more cloudy. So turn them back on. It sounds a bit tighter like that, see? So you're EQing and then you're sidechaining basically to get that kick coming through and the bass sitting better with it, using a rumble kick in techno. You've just got one long noise basically that you're trying to move stuff around, so it sounds good, the rumble kick in techno, but it is quite hard to get round. So in my third example here, this is the one where this is the way I prefer to work. Got my, certainly not a perfect rumble kick there, but I've just taken the same kick, dropped it down into another audio track, and I've made my own kick basically with an EQ, taking a substantial amount of the high end out, using a low pass filter, and put the reverb on there and some distortion, sidechain that drastically to the kick, and then I put another EQ, just taking out those frequencies as I did before. So that sounds pretty tight, see? What I would normally do with a techno bass is move my bass around the kick so that it doesn't interfere at all really with those same frequencies. So it sounds quite tight like that, see? Or as a big long bass like this. Still doable, but it just, yeah, it's a bit tighter with a MIDI bass there, just moved right around the kick. So I think you agree that sounds a lot better than this first muddy. So you've still got the element of the rumble underneath the kick, but it's not as aggressive as the first example, which is a loop. The second one's slightly better. Takeaway from this really is EQ your bass loop and your kick, just getting rid of the unwanted frequencies, mirror EQing the frequencies, taking the elements that you want to keep of the kick in and taking them out on the bass track, and then sidechaining your bass to your kick.